Liz Landers joins me from D.C.
Krishna, we've seen lawmakers in D.C. respond swiftly to what's happening on the ground in the Middle East, both in terms of the violence and also America's role in the region. I spoke with Senator Chris Murphy. He's on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He penned a letter this weekend calling for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. I spoke with him about the Biden administration's role in the conflict. Senator, the White House issued a readout yesterday of the president's call with Netanyahu, and it said that he, quote, expressed his support for a ceasefire. Did the president wait too long?
Listen, the only way to solve this situation is for there to be a ceasefire. But I think this violence underscores how much work we have to do, how heavily involved the United States is going to have to be in the future of Palestinians and Israelis. Maybe something the Biden administration hadn't planned on spending a lot of time on in their first 4 years, but I think they're going to have to.
We've seen a shift with Democrats in particular in D.C. openly questioning Washington's support of Netanyahu. What do you attribute that to?
I reject the notion that there's been a shift in the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has stayed rooted in the idea that there should be a two-state future, that the Palestinians should have a viable future nation. What has shifted is the position of the Israeli government. What shifted over the last 4 years was the position of the United States government. And so Democrats have stayed exactly where we are, which is the future between Palestinians and Israelis has to involve a viable state for the Palestinians. And so, yeah, it's true the Democrats are a little bit more willing to criticize Israel today, but that's not because our position has changed. That's because the position of the Israeli government has changed. And so we're just reflecting the new reality.
So we have colleagues that have been on the ground who have said that Palestinians who are being evicted from their homes are saying that they see no substantive difference between the Trump administration and the current one. Is the rhetoric around this conversation kind of useless if we're still giving the Israelis $735 million with weapons?
Well, the position of the Biden administration is fundamentally different than that of the Trump administration. The Trump administration, for instance, stopped all aid to Palestinian refugees, stopped economic support for the Palestinian territories. The Biden administration has reversed those policies. That's a welcome change in the region. I think it's going to be increasingly important in the coming years for the United States to make sure that there is a future viable Palestinian state. And I think that we're going to have to work with our Israeli partners to make sure that they share that view.
Gaza had a bombing over the weekend that housed a U.S. media organization. Do you feel that that was justified? Have you received a briefing on that? Do you want to get a briefing on that at this point?
To me, looks like a major mistake by the Israelis. And I welcome contrary information, but this is part of the reason why we need to get a ceasefire very soon. Listen, Hamas doesn't give a crap whether they're hitting military or civilian targets. They are lobbing missiles indiscriminately into Israel. Israel, at least, is trying to make sure that they are hitting military targets. I think they have clearly failed in some cases.
Christian, at the end of the day, when and if the U.S. changes its posture towards Israel is in the hands of the commander-in-chief.